first slide. I don't have any text. I'm just going to show you evidence. This is India's per capita income, GDP. And of course, we are quite familiar with this. The fact that we are the fastest growing major economy, the fact that this is the per capita, by the way. So it is not just the aggregate. Per capita is an ordinary Indian's income level. That's the way you should look at it. It's been rising very rapidly. But 47 years ago, an average Indian, an average Chinese, and an average South Korean were identical. Just 47 years ago. So around the time when I was born, we were similar, and just look at the difference today. So I want you to be sensitive to what is the growth potential and what is, oops. You can just take the top off. Okay, let's just go back to this. Growth is not an abstract concept. Growth is a lived reality. And all it took was a generation for a country like China, for a country like South Korea, one which is 10 times richer than us, and the other which is around 4.5 times richer than us. So economic growth, I want you to also, when you talk of ambition, yes, we have to be ambitious. We have a long way to go. Our growth potential, we are growing very fast, but our growth potential is enormous. Now, many people pick issues with economists that we are too obsessed with economic growth and GDP. This is the human development indicators. So it's not just that economically we are growing, and growing rather rapidly, but if you look at the human development indicator, which means it's a combination of outcomes for health, education, gender, etc., we are roughly 10 years behind China. So while economically we might be close to now 20 to 25 years behind China, developmentally we are a lot closer. Right? And one of the reasons that you have to appreciate is that we are a democracy. And the media is a very large part of this. In a democracy, people demand services, demand development, and it gets done. It might be with a delay, it might not be even everywhere, but the fact that despite an economic growth which is behind China by almost 25 years, developmentally, we are only 10 years behind, right? And this is of today. This is something called the globe poverty clock. So the world poverty clock, we are one of the very few countries, and of course you can see Bangladesh and Pakistan there too in the green, but this is the forecast of which are the countries well onto their way of achieving the sustainable development goal in a timely fashion. But we know now things are very rapidly deteriorating for Pakistan and some of our other neighbors. In fact, Sri Lanka is out of that, and Sri Lanka used to be one of the better development achievers. So you see the pandemic has also dealt a heavy blow. Smaller economies are suffering also on account of the fact that they are too specialized. There are few sectors that determine their fate. So India is definitely one of the brighter sparks, even today, despite the pandemic. We are well on our way to achieving our developmental goals. You often hear, and I think media is a large part of the blame, India is getting intolerant and things are really falling off the cliff and so on. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the number of riots in India annually. Now, why do I pick something like riots to show to you? Because riot, definitionally, is a very precise thing. A riot involves, basically it is a violent episode which involves 5 people or more